We're ready, so I'm calling this meeting to order. Roll call, please. Are we ready?
Seriously? Not working now. Roll call. Chairman Anker Jensen.
Present.
Vice Chairman Dr. Joey Hinojosa.
Present.
Treasurer Gerardo Gonzalez.
Present.
Secretary Liliana Elizondo.
Present.
Board Member Frank Orozco Jr. Board Member Ana O'Quinn.
Present.
Board Member Benjamin Peña.
Here.
Next item, public comment period. There were no registered comments, Chairman. Next item, consideration and action, if any, on the following items. Approval of the minutes of special workshop and regular board meeting. A, regular, January 16, 2025. B, acknowledgement regarding the payment of vendor services invoice to the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation for the month of January 2025.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve both of the items.
Yes.
Can I have a second, please? Second. Any discussion? Anybody have any questions? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes having the motion passes.
Next item, staff report, business retention and expansion and workforce development efforts, marketing and communication, business recruitment and events, executive report. Business retention and expansion and workforce development efforts by Giovanna Rangel.
Right. Good afternoon, board members. Thank you for being here today. So in the past month, I visited 4 different companies here in Bronzeville. And I have 2 updates on 2 different projects. So Project Electric in the past 6 months has hired about 40 new employees. They range from operators, from quality control, warehousing, and forklifters. And so with this new project that they have going on, they will be hiring additional 40 new employees before the end of the year. So we will be supporting them throughout the year and hopefully, you know, with some incentives. So stay tuned for those as well. Project WeWorks, we are working with them on their expansion project. And as I mentioned on our last meeting, we were waiting on their financials and, you know, the incentive application. They have finally submitted that. So we will be working to do a financial analysis and bring that to you all for approval as well. In the past month as well, I attended the Youth Advisory Board meeting. And so the reason why I attended that was because the city has initiated this advisory board and they want to be involved with our Rally in the Valley. So Rally in the Valley is actually happening April 16th. And so one of the things that they were asking for the community or for organizations to have is some type of career expo or, you know, internship opportunities. And so obviously we have this initiative already that's been happening in the past 4 years. So why not partner with them? This advisory youth is actually created by a representative from each high school here in Bronzeville. So we have IDEA, we have Harmony, we have all BISD schools being representative. So it's perfect, you know, combination for them to be involved with our event. In addition to that, we attended the Bronzeville Day at the Capitol hosted by the Bronzeville Chamber of Commerce. We were part of the economic group, and so we were able to, you know, lead that initiatives and talk about what we focus on here, which is, of course, incentives, state incentives, right? Due to the amount of projects we currently have, we need their support, we need them to be involved. And so we had great conversations with senators and, of course, state representatives. In addition to that, we also participated in the Principal for the Day, where we were able to talk to a pretty good crowd of students about what we have going on, of course, economic development, and inspire them to, you know, pursue a career in this organization. And lastly, or not lastly, but one of the other advisory boards committees that I attended was the LNG. And so they gave some updates regarding this past quarter. And so they finally received a permit to be able to continue with the pipe installations and the welding operations. So that was kind of, you know, pushing them a little bit behind with hiring pipe fitters and welders. And so they're ready to go with that. And so we should see an increase in hiring when it comes to those 2 positions. And lastly, Marlene and I attended the Women Economic Development Network, which is a development event that happened in North Carolina. We were able to meet tons of women, you know, that are part of the Economic Development Network and that are either doing what we're doing, business retention, expansion, community outreach. And so it was a great opportunity for us to attend. So thank you for allowing us to do that. Next slide, please. And lastly, just wanted to go over the upcoming GBIC events. You all might have received an invitation for the GBIC Q1 Roundtable. This is happening March 13th. We believe that it is a great time to talk about the navigating trade challenges, specifically with the tariffs happening, right? So we want to make sure that we're there for our community, for our employers, bring them together and have conversations. So we'd love for you all to be a part of that, and hopefully you guys can attend. As I mentioned, Rally in the Valley, that's happening April 16th. And lastly, we have a 2-day event we're naming it the Bronzeville Space Symposium. This is happening May 28th and May 29th. So this is a 2-day event. On the first day, we are providing site selectors with an in-depth tour of our industrial parks, as well as a comprehensive exploration of the city's thriving industries and growing communities. The second day, which is the 29th, we will focus on our growing presence in the space sector, where we will host a space symposium to highlight the cutting-edge advancements and investment potentially in this community. So we'd love for you all to as well support us with this event. The invitation will be coming soon, and yeah, just wanted to share that with you all so you are informed with our upcoming events. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, I was also part of that delegation with the Brownsville Day at the Capitol. I just wanted to kind of thank the girls, Giovanna and Marlene, for going up there and representing GBIC, and they did a really fine job. We were able to have a breakout session with Adriana Cruz with the Texas Economic Development Tourism with the Office of the Governor, and we talked about certain things and missed opportunities with respect to economic development corporations. And one of the things, probably the primary, I asked the question is what are the things, the most significant barrier that keeps companies from coming to an area or a location? And she said, by and large, the most common and the most, that, the one that keeps everybody away is site readiness and site preparedness. And so that, in context to, why companies don't go to certain areas is because basically they're not ready. Oftentimes you'll get a company that has significant and abundance and overabundance of cash to invest in greenfield, and they'll buy those, right? And they'll develop them themselves and move forward. But by and large, the most pressing issue is site readiness. And that is, I thought that was important to bring back to this board and let you all know that those are the things that we as an economic, development arm of the city need to be kind of looking out for as well, so that we're ready to receive these corporations.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Any more questions to Ben? He's here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rangel. Next, Marketing and Communications by Marcela Sainz.
Hi, good afternoon. It's nice to see you. So first, I just want to open with, I was able to complete my basic economic development course last week in Waco. And thank you for the opportunity to go there and interact with other people from the state that are barely getting into economic development. It's very exciting, and I'm ready to apply all the knowledge back into our community and to keep growing. Right, so our social media for the last 30 months. Last time that I was here, I gave you an overview of the last 90 days, just, because it was the beginning of the new fiscal year, and because I was new, but moving forward, I will be giving you monthly updates on what our social media is looking like. And so the first row, you can see the name of the platform, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. The next row, you'll have the total number of followers that we currently have. And then the next row, it's the number of followers that started following us the last 30 days. So for Facebook, it was 12 new followers, Instagram was 32, and LinkedIn was 44, which is a great indicator that we are reaching the audience that is in business and that cares about the work that we do, etc. And also, below that, you can see the number of posts on each platform and how many views or impressions we had. And so Facebook, we have 10,257 views. Instagram, 102 likes stayed there from my last presentation, but the number of views on Instagram is 3,700. And then on LinkedIn, we have over 5,000 impressions, which is the same as views. Oh, and also, I just want to make a comment here on the types of posts that have more traction, because that's important. You know, I'm new and I want to see what people are interested, you know, in seeing. And one of the posts that gave us most hits was when the Brownsville Day at the Capitol. Like all of that, the days that we were there, those posts gave us lots of traction. And then the other one is over, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, we documented some visits to SA Recycling at the port for a recycling project with high school students led by Joanna. And we were able to compile a very nice video of all the students out there working and, you know, interacting and learning more about recycling and all of that. And that video was also very successful. All right, marketing and PR. So last time I explained how we were going to divide this into our national and international and local efforts, right? Because there's 2 different types of marketing that we need to do in PR. And so for the national and international, we partner with an agency that's helping us with that. Right now, we are on research phase. They are conducting perception studies, which is crucial for us to know how we're doing, how we are perceived, and what areas we need to improve, and just to see how to better market Brownsville for inbound investment. And so the perception studies are currently being done, but as part of that work, they're also doing an immersion tour. So they're coming to Brownsville, and we would love for you to meet with this agency, also so that you can provide feedback, any input that you have. So we'll be reaching out with information about the days that they're going to be here so that we can plan something, so that you can, you know, meet with them. And don't think that because we're on research phase, we're not doing anything else. We're currently responding to media requests. There are still coming in. There are interviews being done by our CEO every week, probably. We've had lots of media requests. And so we're currently working on that. And then on the local portion, we're also on research phase, but same thing. We're responding to media requests. We're putting out press releases, and we are documenting our work. Everywhere that we go, everything that we do, and we're starting to compile data and information, because during the research phase, what I'm doing is we're coming up with ideas for storytelling, right? But then we need to choose a format. What's a graphic? What should be a video? What should go on a blog post? And so we're currently doing that, so then we can move on to planning the content calendar and start, scheduling our posts and seeing what goes where and when. Okay, we can move on to the next one. Website update. So the sitemap for the website has been finalized, and I included a graphic of a sitemap just to give you, this is not information that's going to be on the website. It's just like a mock-up of a sitemap to give you an idea of what our website currently looks like. It's basically what's going to be in the front page, all the menus, all the tabs, all the drop-downs, all of that has been decided, the placement and the actual names of each menu and each tab. And so that's already done. Next step, we just moved on to design. So the website developer will be presenting concepts, and we'll be reviewing those concepts pretty soon.
I do have one question. When's the, what did you say all this should be completed by? Within the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part of the.
When like the site map, when is all that going to be all completed and online?
So when we started working with the website developer, the timeline that they gave us is 6 months, and we started last month. So it's already in the summer. It should be up in the summer.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sines. Next, business recoupment by Jerry Briones.
Good afternoon, everybody. So we had another busy month. We had a total of 26 leads over the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've got 3 projects that we started new. One is called Project Tea Kettle. It is a company out of Monterrey that's looking to diversify their manufacturing and their distribution and warehousing. They are very interested in Brownsville. They're actually moving away from Laredo and moving their operations this way. The second one is Project Line. That is a concrete operation that's also looking. They've already actually signed a lease contract with the port. It's actually going to be just outside the port property. And then we've also got a project by the name of Dante's Peak. They are a data center, call center, kind of an operation, and they are also looking already at space at the iTech Center. Leads in the preliminary stage, we had 16 this month. They're all in different levels, but they're still we're still in talks and trying to locate space and just carrying conversations. We had 7 RFIs that came in from the governor's office. We didn't respond to any of them, only because of the different, I guess, requirements that they were looking for. Some were looking for 10 megs of power, some were looking for 20 megs of power, existing buildings, land. In some of them, it was several things, not just one thing that kind of ruled them out. None of them were options for the port either. So we kind of just let that go. Next slide, please. So I did attend a couple of things this last month. I went to SpaceCom in Orlando, Florida. That is put on by the Space Foundation. There was a lot of high-level, both military, commercial, space companies. I did manage to connect and establish a high-level connection with Space Force, and more specifically the mobility regarding evaluations of several sites that they're looking at besides Cape Canaveral and Vandenberg. We also hosted Altamira, their economic development, a small delegation. They were here to present a formal invite to Mayor Cowan, as well as our board. I believe the chairman will be getting an invite as well as the rest of the board. They are hosting a Carnaval 2025 in Altamira and just wanted to kind of extend that invite. We also yesterday participated with Comercio Empresario Mexicano de Comercios Exteriores, Inversiones y Tecnología, and actually Comercio should be Consejo. There was an error there on my part. And then it is the first meeting of COMCE with the Matamoros Brownsville chapter. They had 40 people in attendance. Afterwards, we took them out for a tour of the port. We took them out for a tour of SpaceX. They were really impressed, and we came out with 5 leads out of that one event. So it was all Mexican entrepreneurs and businesses that are already existing. So it actually was a very good event. Our mayor was also one of the speakers at the event. So it turned out really nice. Questions?
Jerry, just go back to the project Lime.
Project Line?
Yeah, you said they've signed a lease agreement with the port. Does that mean that they're not going to be interested in our land out there?
It's a concrete company, so I don't know if it's necessarily something we want on our land.
Okay.
For the aesthetics and nothing else.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Briones. Next, executive report by Gilberto Salinas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In regards to your question, Mr. Chairman, as far as the project, is sometimes we don't have control over where a company is going to go. I think this might have been the case. And again, with the Port of Brownsville, we support what they're doing. You know, sometimes we support them with incentives as well. So we're all part of one region. I will say, as Jerry pointed out, as far as our new projects, one of them is a call center. And that's an example of having two brand name call centers in our backyard, which is Maximus and Teleperformance. And I always like to use the analogy that big fish draws other big fish. So as a result of having those two, we've got another call center now that's shopping in the area. Great, the job generator provides a lot of opportunities for some of our younger adults, especially some of those kids that are in college. And those two projects, Maximus and Teleperformance, are companies that were supported by this board, one 10 years ago and the other one almost 20 years ago. The second project, one of the other ones is a supplier in the space and aerospace. And then the third project is an example of nearshoring. So because of the geopolitical climate right now, we're seeing a lot of that. So one of those is already looking at us as well as another community. So we're busy with a lot of activity in that particular regard. So before I do the deep dive in our projects, I'd like to recognize a couple of people. Our newest addition, that is Erendida Martinez. She came from a youth build where she was a placement coordinator for that organization, working with the youth and placing them in jobs in industry. Worked with employee retention and just overall workforce initiatives. She's originally from Brownsville, graduated from St. Joe, and has a bachelor's in education from UTRGV. So she's going to be working for organization on the business retention expansion side, working in organizing a lot of our leads and research and data, and then also helping us with the RFIs and RFQs that are coming from the governor's office, because those are sometimes massive. And then also like to recognize Marilena Murillo, who you all know. She's been promoted to community outreach coordinator. So she'll continue with her role in supporting the board, but then also with the outreach, putting together community events, and then handling our sponsorship budget as well. Budget requests as it pertains to sponsorships, and then building relationships with our school districts as well as some of our students, and just really helping promote our narrative as to who we are and what we do and why we do what we do. Both of these initiatives are outlined in our 2025 roadmap, so it's in alignment with what we're trying to do. And again, for a community this size with the reach that we have, this organization should be at about between 10 to 12 employees. So we'll eventually get there. And I think they've seen already that the workload is slowly ramping up as we're developing more and more leads. So with that, please help me congratulate and welcome both Marilena and Erendida. For you.
Welcome on board and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, Marcela mentioned DCI. Those are the consultants out of New York. They are going to be in town for an immersion tour next month. So there's going to be a couple of asks from our board members. One for the DCI group, for y'all to be available. We're also going to make them available to some of our city commissioners and the mayor. They're coming in for a windshield tour, look at our industrial areas, get a feel for the community, and then meeting with our leadership as far as those in industry, workforce, as well as Matamoros and the Port of Brownsville, since those are areas that we cover. Marcela was in New York meeting with consultants, already starting to work on the strategy that's going to be employed for our area. So in 3 to 4 months, you're going to really start to see activity coming out from them as far as reporting at the national level. Engagements with influencers, which is something fairly new for me. I've never done that in the past. Apparently that's a big deal, influencers. And then also working with site selectors. So I'd like to point out that she said right now we're responding to media, and that is correct. We're getting a lot of media coverage, but we're in a responsive mode, right? We're responding to it. Working with this group gets us to a position where we're actually pitching to the media, national media, especially those in New York and in Washington, D.C. So we're able to tell our story and really have at least a way to control that narrative as far as proactive business news coming out of this area. And then the second ask is going to be with TIP Strategies. They are the consultants out of Austin that are going to start working on a strategic plan. They are going to be in town. We hosted a call with them this week. They're going to be in town in April. And similar to the DCI group, we're going to host them for an immersion tour of the community to get a feel for it. This is where we're going to require the board participation. So I like to say this is where the rubber meets the pavement. This is where the bulk of the work is going to get done. As far as the direction of the organization, what the future looks like, not just for the organization, but for Brownsville as it pertains to industry, primary jobs, overall growth, and really what does success look like for us. So I'm very excited to start working on that. And then after that, May or June timeframe, we'll start looking at it at the actual board retreat. Moving on to other meetings that we've had or that I've had was met with the county judge last month, provided a update on some of our projects. And again, just extended our hand out as far as ways to collaborate with them and work with them. Met with the port director as well. And again, this is just part of my listening tour, just going out there and listening to every leader that's out there. And the port, I mean, we know it's growing by leaps and bounds. Just want to make sure that they understand that we're there to support, work with them. And then also, I've asked them like, hey, we're getting ready to put together some trade missions. You all need to be a part of that because it is a port of Brownsville. And then leads, you mentioned the governor's office. So the leads for any port in the state of Texas gets funneled through the economic development organization of record for that particular area, which in this case, it's us. So the leads for the port actually come through us, as well as some of the leads for the county. So making sure that we have those lines of communication open. Next slide. So looking for the thing. So the other one, met with officials from Rioplex Economic Development Group. It's a spinoff of the Hidalgo County Task Force out of McAllen. They came in and they talked about what it is that they're working on. Basically, they said they're here to promote the Rio Grande Valley as the Rioplex or branded as such. So I pretty much stopped them halfway and said, okay, so what's the cost and why should we participate? The why was pretty standard question. Well, part of a region, so on and so forth. The cost said, oh, we're not here to ask for money. I'm like, okay, so if it's free, then here's our marketing materials. So let's see what comes out of that. Our BRE consultant, Teresa Metcalf, she's going to be in town next week. She's going to be working with some of our staff members, Giovanna, Marlene, now with Erendida, helping structure their particular divisions, as well as providing some training and absorbing some of the work that they're having, their workloads as well right now. Talking about the Upper Valley, I was at the Uniting RGV Regional Growth event. It was at about 150 community business leaders from that area. And it was a good discussion, but it was interesting because they're very, very curious about what's happening in Brownsville, the Port of Brownsville, and obviously SpaceX. So found that pretty interesting. Yesterday, or earlier this week, met with Felida Villarreal, Executive Director with Vida, and Father Kevin Collins of St. Eugene de Mazenod, my childhood church, actually. So they provided their annual report and update as to what they're working on. There is obviously an ask, so they're looking to get themselves on the agenda for next month. So we requested some additional information, and we'll keep the board posted as to where that goes. The U.S. Consul Generals met with Consul Powers from Matamoros, U.S. Consul Bishop in Monterrey, and good discussions as far as the opportunities, especially in the Monterrey area. And this was a meeting that was facilitated by Mayor John Cowan. And talking about Monterrey, we are going to have two planned trade missions to Monterrey next month. One is with Mayor Cowan and his connection through the Inc. Monterrey, which is an industrial type of organization, marketing entity. He's going to be speaking at the event. They're going to have some potential prospects there, and we're having a booth. I think we're sharing some booth space with the city of Brownsville as well. And then the second one is a partnership or collaboration between us, Harlingen, and Cameron County. It's being spearheaded by Ramiro at the Cameron County. And they're working with a marketing entity out of Monterrey to have a private luncheon to host 50 to 60 investors and executives out of the Monterrey area that are looking to do business in South Texas. So again, just doing what we have where we can to partner with other entities, and then just getting ourselves out there, promoting Brownsville for inbound investment. Now I'll wrap up here with some of our project activity. I'm just going to touch on 3 projects. I will say, coming back to what Jerry had mentioned, we did host 24, 25 prospects last month, or since we last had our board meeting. It was a combination of prospects, investors, and developers. And I know we had 7 of them come in 1 week, so we were stretched thin. Good problem to have. Nonetheless, it was a long week. And surprisingly, we had a handful of developers from the Upper Valley that have been down here kicking the tires. So again, they're all very curious. Project Big Tuna, we met with executives last month. We actually flew out to Querétaro, Mexico, and to Monterrey to go look at their facilities. It's a pretty sizable investment. They're looking at $170 million capital investment as far as their plant. They are a manufacturer of utility and industrial components, looking to generate about 130 jobs over a 4 to 5 year period. It's looking like it's a good fit for the tech park. However, we are in competition with 2 other cities in the Upper Valley. So all we ask for is, for them to give us an opportunity, and we're doing what we can from our end, keeping ourselves in front of their radar. Project Oxidizing, we're working with them as far as the city of Brownsville, what the permitting looks like for them. They're looking to clear some land and do some prep for the site that they're looking to invest in, which is out of the North Brownsville Industrial Park. And again, that is a company. It is the largest manufacturer of industrial gases in the world. And the fact that Brownsville is up there is pretty significant, again, for a community our size. And then lastly, Project Skyward. That is a local company that's looking to set up a flight school. They're looking to set up at the airport. They're looking for construction of hangar space. They would be purchasing some new planes. They would be introducing a new partnership with a university, helping, and this is a project that is not traditional in the sense of what we've done in the past as far as manufacturing and primary jobs. It's outside the box. It would help with the retention and recruitment of talent. The ROI, again, would be more value add, especially when it comes to avionics. To me, that's important. Once you start talking about avionics, you start separating yourself from the pack as far as aerospace and the space sector. We've asked for additional information, so we'll see what they come back with as far as what they're looking forward to do. I know they've had the discussions with the city as well as the airport, but again, we're still in the very initial stages, waiting to see what they come back with, and then if there's something there, we'll start a due diligence with them. And I'll close with what Giovanna said, which she promoted the Space Symposium. So at Space Symposium, we're actually going to be hosting 4 to 5 site selectors coming into the community. So the day before the actual symposium, we're going to take them on an immersion tour, windshield tour of Brownsville, looking at the areas, looking at the SpaceX site, looking at the LNG plants, and then meeting with some of our leadership as well. And they want to meet with some of our local manufacturers to ask them about workforce and what have you. So great opportunity. And then they'll become, the following day at the actual symposium, they'll be on a panel talking about their first time being in Brownsville, what they saw, the goods and the bads. And that's something that our local leadership will really appreciate as far as, hearing from the people that hold the key to projects and what they see so far in Brownsville. And then, so it's an opportunity for leadership to learn more about, the people working the projects from the outside in. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Gilbert? Really? Okay, thank you very much, Gilbert. Appreciate it. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Next item, discussion, consideration, and action of incentives programs for Project Oxidizing. presented by Gilberto Salinas.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'll request if we can have this item be moved to after executive session.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Next item, discussion, consideration, and acknowledgement of the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation financials, presented by Salvador Villapando.
Good afternoon, board members. Tonight we'll be going over the financials for GBIC through the month of January, which is 4 months into the fiscal year. Total assets are currently at 42.3 million, which consists of 1.1 million in cash, 26.6 million in investments, 882,000 in accounts receivable, which is the sales tax for December, and 13.6 million in capital assets. Liabilities are currently at 147,000, and that leaves us with a total net position of 42.2 million as of January. That net position consists of 13.6 million in capital assets and 28.5 in our operating fund. And then within our operating fund, we have 2.2 million designated as per contractual obligations and 26.3 million in undesignated funds. On here, we have the budget to actuals through January. Total revenues are currently at 2.7 million, which consists of 2.1 in sales tax, and that's just for 3 out of the 4 months. We're still pending January. 404,000 in interest, which is about $100,000 per month in interest earned. We're on pace to go over what we budgeted for interest. 199,000 for a gain on sale of land, which was for one of the lots at the North Brownsville Industrial Park. 2,000 in sponsorships and 26,000 in miscellaneous revenues. We have 1.1 million in expenditures, which consists of 674,000 in operating, 25,000 in incentives, and 381,000 in initiatives. Overall, we have revenues over expenditures of 1.67 million through January. Lastly, we have the sales tax comparison between this fiscal year and the previous. So at first glance, it shows that we have a decrease in sales tax collections for December. Total collections were 882,000 compared to December of the previous fiscal year. I do want to note that for December of 2024, it was an outlier or not. So in December of 2024, the state comptroller performed an audit, which resulted in $1 million increase in sales tax collections for that month. So if, that GBIC was allocated an additional $125,000. So if we compare December of this year to December of 2023, which is organic to organic collections, in reality, we had about, so for example, in December of 2023, collections were 738,000. In December of 2024, collections were 883. So that's about a 19% increase if we're comparing organic to organic collections for December. So although it reflects a decrease, that decrease is due to that audit, if that makes sense. So overall, through the first 3 months, collections are 2.1 million, which is a 1.3% increase. And that amounts to about 7.7 million in collections for this year that we're looking at. Is there any questions?
Anybody, any question?
Just a comment. Thank you for looking into that, because we always want to figure out. So we appreciate that you took the initiative.
You're welcome.
President Frank, you questions? Okay.
Okay, just so I'm clear, you were saying that on the interest, we're scheduled to go over budget. So it looks like within 4 months, we're close to already 50% of the budgeted interest.
That's right. So we anticipated for interest rates to drop.
Good.
Right now, they're still pretty high. And it also, what a major factor is we haven't started spending as much for the industrial park. We budgeted
Okay.
a large amount. So as we start,
So when we calculated it, we had expected that money to go
Right.
out. Okay.
but we're still on track to exceed what we budgeted for interest.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Anybody else? If not, I need a motion to accept or approve.
I'll make a motion to acknowledge.
Acknowledge. Second. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Villapando. Next item, closed session pursuant to the Texas Government Section 551.071, 551.072, and 551.087 related to Project Industrial, Project Oxidizing, and Project Alice.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved to go into executive.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're going to exec. Good, chief. Very new office. It's nice that new boardroom. Okay, we're all here again. I need a motion to resume. the
I make
meeting.
a motion to resume session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
As having we are back in session.
Next item, consideration and action, if any, including but not limited to the adoption of the board resolutions related to the items discussed in executive session. Project Industrial, Project Oxidizing, and Project Alice.
Chairman, I'm going to request a motion pertaining to Project Industrial to authorize resolution giving authorization to Jerry Briones, GBIC COO, execute agreements with Brownsville PUB and CCDD1 pertaining to Project Industrial, and additionally to proceed as directed in executive for Project Oxidizing, proceed as directed in executive for and approving economic participation program to issue 4 annual payments of $250,000 for total amount of $1 million. And for Project Alice, proceed as directed in executive.
So motioned.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion passes. Anything else?
There was an item that I had requested after executive session, which is item number 1 for individual consideration. I would just want to note that that's already been addressed in executive.
Okay,
That was part of that motion, right?
anybody's got anything else to bring before this board?
I make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much, staff. Appreciate all the work you do. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Are you going to be our IT person?